In this video, we're going to be talking about literature reviews. You'll carry out a lot of lit reviews during your degree, from essays to your final dissertation. This is what we're going to be covering in this video. What is a literature review and what it isn't, what makes a really good lit review, how to do one, tips for staying on track, and some links to further resources. So what exactly is a lit review? A literature review is a systematic review of the published literature on a specific topic or research question. The literature review is designed to analyse, not just summarise, scholarly writings that are related directly to your research question. It represents the literature that provides background information on your topic and shows a correspondence between those writings and your research question. A literature review is not a list of semi-related sources weakly linked together without clearly identified themes which link and justify the studies chosen. So what makes a good lit review? Well, it should have a clear structure with an introduction and body paragraphs and a conclusion. It should be about a defined research question. It should use critical language. You're supposed to be reviewing the literature, not just summarising it. And it doesn't overuse quotation. You'll need to write a lit review in lots of different circumstances. You'll have a standalone one in your dissertation, but you may write short literature reviews for essays or part of an assignment. There are 6 stages to a lit review: planning, finding, reading, analysing, writing, and revising. All parts are equally important, and you'll notice that writing is one of the last things you should be doing. There's no point starting to write your essay before you've actually analysed the literature. Let's go through each stage now. The first stage is planning. You want to organise yourself and set yourself up for success. You can do the planning stage even if you have left things a bit late. In fact, it's especially useful if you're under a time crunch. Look at how much time you have until the submission date and then set yourself a schedule with interim deadlines. This will help keep you on track. Find out from whoever set the assignment if there's a limit to how many sources you need to analyse, or are there specific resources you need to include or cannot include. The planning stage is also where you can define your research question. What are you trying to find out by reading this literature? After planning comes finding. This is where you decide on a search strategy and actually look for the literature that you'll be reviewing. You can look for literature on your reading list for the module, search the library catalogue and databases, on Google Scholar, and look at open access databases or journals. Lesson 1 in this series goes through the finding process in detail. The next stage is reading. People often leave themselves too little time to actually read the books they have borrowed from the library or the articles they have downloaded. Make sure to allocate enough time to this stage in your planning process. One of the tricks to reading a lot of material in college is that you don't actually have to read all the articles you've downloaded from start to finish to find out what they're about. You need to prioritise and decide which articles are most important to your literature review and most relevant to you. You can do this by first just reading the abstract, introduction, and conclusion of the article. Then make brief notes about the key themes or findings. Do this for all the articles or book chapters you've collected. Now use your notes to prioritise which ones to read first. You also want to make your reading process as active and useful as possible. Use a system to take notes while you're reading. This can be on paper or digitally. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, works for you. When reading, make notes of the strengths and weaknesses of the reading. Take note of the key themes, ideas, or definitions. This is also the best time to create the full, correct APA reference for your article or book. There's a simple note-taking sample Excel template available to download on the library guide for this session. After reading comes analysing. The very purpose of the literature review is to do this step, so you can't skip it. There's a handy acronym to help you evaluate the scholarly sources you're reading, CORAAP. This is what it stands for. You can evaluate the currency, relevancy, authority, accuracy, and purpose of the piece of writing you're reviewing. There are some sample questions there to get you thinking about what that means. You can view these slides on the library guide. Step 5 is actually writing up your lit review. Because you've done the first 4 steps, you're in a great position to do this now. You can describe how you found the literature by referring to your search strategies, and you can use your notes from reading and evaluating to construct your paragraphs. The basic structure of any piece of writing is to 1. Tell them what you're going to tell them, 2. Tell them that thing, and 3. Tell them what you told them. If you can do that for your literature review, you will have a good basic structure and your writing will flow well. You can write your body paragraphs first, then write your introduction and conclusion. There are links on the library guide to online resources where you can get help with your academic writing. The last stage is revising. This means going over what you've written, making any changes, and editing and proofreading your essay. When you're editing, try to read your lit review as if you've never read it before. Have you answered the question of the essay? Is your writing clear? Do the paragraphs flow together? Do you provide an analysis of the literature rather than a summary? The last step is proofreading. I recommend reading through your essay a number of times and just looking for one type of error on each pass. For instance, read once through for grammar, once through for full stops and punctuation, once through for referencing, etc. You can try reading it aloud to yourself, which can help you realise if you have sentences that are too long. Lastly, don't rely on spell check. It is not infallible. Finally, I have some tips for staying on track. Please share any tips you have in the comments. I recommend setting small, achievable goals. This is the best thing you can do to stay on track. Make sure you give yourself enough time for each of the 6 stages, and I really recommend keeping track of your references from the very start. It makes the final part of putting together your reference list so much easier. You can use the SMART framework to set yourself goals. Make them specific. For example, read the Johnson articles. Then make them measurable. For example, read the 2 most recent articles by Johnson. Make them achievable. Do you have enough time to read these articles? Have you downloaded them already? Make your goal relevant. Are the Johnson articles suitable for an essay? And finally, make them time-bound. For example, read the 2 most recent articles by Johnson between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. today. If you do this, your goals will be much easier to achieve. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more help with this topic, please email the library at library.desk@mie.ie. You can take a look at our guides on the library website, where you can also download a handout on lit reviews.